work with Aham as product development manager.
Thank you. A very warm welcome to all the speakers, guests, and attendees. Those of you online, you want to introduce yourself quickly? Name and affiliation?
Good evening all, this is Vinay. I'm from IT department, working as presenting IT department.
Good evening everyone, this is Purushottam, project manager for product management.
Okay, we will have to ask you to repeat that again at some point. We're trying to hear you, but somehow we couldn't hear you here.
Good evening all, this is Vinay. Hope you hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
This is Vinay. I'm from IT department, so I'm working as a program manager.
Great, thank you. And go ahead, Mr.
Good
Purushottam.
evening everyone, this is Purushottam, working with skill development department, government of Andhra Pradesh.
Thank you.
People have come, they come message so that they can also see.
Yeah, new folks, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good evening, I'm Dr. Giri, working as a professor of practice in Marine Department, Andhra University.
Okay, one more. Yes. Just your name and affiliation, that's it.
Myself, Sri Hari. I'm working as a cloud infrastructure engineer in a startup. Currently working under Professor Giri.
Okay, welcome all. Thank you for joining us today. This forum's purpose is to establish and build an integrated ecosystem with a variety of supports for entrepreneurs. It is open to everyone and we hope you will take full advantage of it by participating and contributing. If you are wondering what can and does happen in these sessions, here's a brief outline. Pitching your startup. We have a slot for you to pitch your company. Regardless of the stage you're at, it is always good to be participating or practicing your pitch, repeatedly selling yourself and your company in appropriate occasions, of course. Idea pitches. Slots for ideas are always available. You have an idea, please go ahead and share it. It can only get better. Then we have the technical talk, which often is a feature of the sessions. Each session has a different topic, bringing in experts, sharing their expertise and experience. Then we have open mic. If someone feels inspired and wants to share an idea, which we encourage everyone to do so, this is a place to share and get some feedback. It is a safe space. You will get constructive feedback. Any thoughts are also welcome. From last session, we introduced a new segment, Show Me the Money, we are calling it. Bhavna will be presenting on a particular grant in depth and giving you updates on upcoming deadlines for different grant programs. We put in the effort to organize these and we are having fun doing so. The more you engage, the more you derive. So please encourage your colleagues, your friends, employees, co-founders, anyone who you think might benefit from these sessions. Here are a few basic rules before we commence the meeting. Kindly put your mobile phones on silent mode. Please refrain from entering or exiting the session while the speaker is delivering their presentation. Please wait until the speaker concludes their session. Please refrain from cross-talk or side conversation. It is distracting. We run a tight program. Kindly note that the pitch is allotted a maximum time of 10 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes to present and 3 to 4 minutes for Q&A session. We kindly ask all presenters to adhere to the allocated time to ensure a smooth flow of the event. We request the audience to reserve your questions for the designated Q&A period. However, some speakers give you the liberty to ask questions in the middle, so please follow the speaker's lead. Let's start with Show Me the Money.
Good evening, everyone. So, just a brief about the last grant program that we covered. It was on the Amrut 2.0 water pitch scale startup, which was around startups and innovators that can contribute towards problems in the urban water sector, right? Moving to the program that we have today is the MSME Innovative IPR scheme. So MSME has an innovative scheme where they focus on three components. One is incubation, one is design, and the third one is IPR. A part of the scheme, what they do is, so their main motive behind the scheme is to ensure that people are aware of the rights that they have regarding their product and service, and that they can protect it in multiple ways. Uh, the scheme mainly looks forward to establishing a intellectual property facilitation center, which is called the IPFCs, and through the IPFCs, the organization wants to reimburse money for any patent, trademark, copyright, design, geographical indications, etc., that a startup might want to file for. Apart from the different IP formats that they support, they also look into providing advisory and consultation for all of these products. So the eligibility of applying for the scheme is that you have to be registered via Udyam, and it does not matter from which industry you are. It does not matter what you're building. It might be a product, a service, but you can avail the support. The amounts mentioned, these are the couple of amounts mentioned for each of the, for an Indian patent, you get up to 1 lakh of reimbursement, for foreign, you get up to 5 lakh of reimbursement, etc. Right? Good part about the program is it's available, it's open throughout the year, so at any point of time you can apply. Not a lot have been mentioned about the questions that are going to be in the application, so that's something. If you have the Udyam registration, you can go on the portal, that's the website link, and you can go through the questions, and if there are any doubts, you're obviously more than happy to help. So the next grant program is a private grant.
Can we ask questions to the
Yes,
person?
yes.
Okay. So these are not for early stage innovators. These are startups that are registered but should also have Udyam registration.
Yeah. An early stage startup can also register in Udyam and then avail
So you
this.
have to have a Udyam registration.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to have a Udyam registration. They don't ask for DPI or anything as of now, as much as I've seen in the application. They ask for this number.
Okay. Udyam.
So the next program that we have here is the Halton Foundation Grant Program. This is a private grant program run by the foundation, where they want to focus on developing solutions for better indoor environment quality. This is again not an Indian grant, so it has its different rules and regulations that they follow, right? Like they'll do it in euro only. It's not going to be in INR. All your projections also have to be in euro and dollars. So that is something that you'll have to look for when you're applying for this grant program. Good thing is there is a lot of time for this. It's on September 1st, so there is time, and eligibility is just anybody who has a not-for-profit organization or are related to one. For example, you can also be an employee of a not-for-profit organization and want to apply for this grant program on behalf of the organization. Yeah.
They need to have FCRA for this?
They need to have
Does the non-profit need to have FCRA for this? or-
that we'll have to check. I'm not sure. So there's a link there, right? They have their certain documentation that they require. You might have to check one more. The next program that we have is Satare by,
Can I answer this thing?
yeah.
FCRA on a case to case basis you can still apply to RBI patent. You
Yeah,
don't
the
need
one-time FCRA.
one time.
Yeah.
So the next program that we have is Satare, which is by BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology. This program is very beneficial for students and researchers pursuing their, PhD or anything in any academia, because while you're doing your research and your theory, this gives you the money to build your product or your service or whatever you want to envision. They give you a support of 50 lakh per student, per researcher, and the call opens next month in somewhere between mid to September is when they open the call. So there is still time for people who want to apply for it, but the criteria is that only that you have to be a PhD student pursuing your master's or PhD. and it's sector agnostic, so you can be from any sector, but as you still have to be in the bracket of biotechnology when you look into this program. This is something that we covered last time also regarding this is again a Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food Distribution department. They basically want they've seen certain problems in the fair price shops that are there in these rural areas, and they want to address those issues. This is not exactly a grant program, it's more of like a hackathon or a competition where you come up with solutions, and they have these certain price amounts that is mentioned here, and once the solution is something that they can implement, that is when you get the award, right? It's a hackathon that way. And this is the one that we covered last in the last Standard Saturday event. This is the Amrut 2.0 water pitch pilots. I was really fascinated by this program because the kind of thematic areas they cover is very diverse. It's very diverse. Would if somebody is interested, would ask you to go ahead and go to the link, visit the profile, and understand what needs they have. Yeah, so that's about the grant programs for this event. That's my mail ID. If anybody wants to reach out to me regarding any of the grant proposal or questions, I am more than happy and available for that. Another thing which is just not mentioned here, but the Ignition grant call is open at our. We have a grant program where we look forward to funding startups who are building IoT devices in any sector it can be, but they should have an IoT component for their device. It's a 10 lakh grant program. The call is currently open, and we're accepting applications. Thank you. Yes.
Anything on a marine and offshore approach about
Marine and
offshore.
so
Shipbuilding and marine and offshore.
to an extent, one of their thematic areas is marine, the water pitch pilot scale. You can probably have a look at this, but if there's something more specific you're looking for, I can have a one-on-one conversation with you. This is around urban water sector, so you might want to look at this once. If not, even BIG is
I
something.
think desalination plants is one of the plants.
Yeah, desalination plants. BIG is again something that you can apply. It comes under biotechnology. And if you're looking for something for the PhD students, this also comes under biotechnology. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavna. Okay, thank you, Bhavna. Let's move on to the main part of today's session, our brainstorming session on education and skill development. Let's invite Mr. Ravi Ishwarapu to present the challenge from the perspective of employers or startups. As most of you know, Ravi is the CEO of AHUB, and he works with 190 or more startups on a regular basis, and he has his own 8 or 9 startups he also invested in and runs parts of it. So we'll have his perspective on what the challenge is. After that, Srinivas will lead us in a conversation discussing the challenge and possible solutions. We have several guests on live video conference and several others watching on YouTube. Specifically, I want to recognize all the senior bureaucrats that are showing up from both IT department, Mr. Vinay, and skill development, Mr. Purushottam. Thank you for joining us. And we have several others watching us on YouTube. So if you have any questions or comments, we are watching the feed, so please type it in. You can always chime in because we don't have a lot of crowd online. So you can chime in when you are ready to say something or share your idea. So today's topic is knowledge and skill development. Ravi, please present the challenge. You have 5 minutes.
Hey, good evening once again. Thank you. Thanks. Great to have the
government also being associated with this. I know I'm surprised. The last six startup Saturdays have been full house and lack of seats available. And suddenly come, I don't know whether it is the climate or it's the Guru Pradakshina. I don't know. People have become very. I'm sorry.
Close to examinations.
Oh, close to examinations.
Multiple factors. Multiple things going on.
Yeah, there's so many things. That's okay. Okay, but no. Anyhow, I know there are a lot of people on the YouTube channel, but okay. My job is to put the challenges from different perspectives, like you said, from a startup perspective, but I put it from you're talking education, skill development, and startups are here. So education, being on board of studies and faculty a long, long time back. So I find these are the points that I find which is sort of hindering what we need versus what we call the skill gap analysis. Rote learning, which is the basic thing of if you look at the Bloom's taxonomy, basically looking at lower order thinking skills, which is basically you learn a concept, you by heart it, you take it to this thing, a little bit of application, but you do repeat it. You understand and repeat it in examination. So it's basically that's how it's all starting about, and it's basically you study to pass. It's that's the usually how the education system is to be designed. No, we call it one day batting, T20, whatnot. Students have the practice of paying for internships and projects, which is 90% plus, which is again a bad practice, and this is known to the employers too for your startups. Things like hackathons and ideation, you find that the participation is sparse and largely the same teams go around, and it's more a competition than anything that is serious. Now, from the skill development perspective, because I also run the AU's Siemens Skill Development Center for the past few months, but my perspective is again very this thing. Full disclosure, this is only my personal. This thing largely happens. Skill development is expected to happen post the education is completed. You finish your engineering, then you come here and land up. And what can a skill development center do? In 4 years you've done nothing, but you're expected to make them so-called employable within 2 months, which is that's a challenge. So you totally get undercooked students, and of course for survival and for this thing, you do things like PMKVY and other stuff, which is more of revenue generation for survival. So it's eyewash, more of a. I did that. I'm doing it now. So it's more like a number game. The real, it's reality. It's how many people you have trained versus how many people have actually got employed, which is DDU, JKY, and other stuff. So courses basically I can already see based on popularity, and these guys and the students who come in are nowhere near that. Even if you take something related to IT, which is cybersecurity or AI, these guys are nowhere there, but we run it because you've taken some targets and you have to run it. So this is something that's the gap. So and eligibility criteria is generic. There is no if somebody comes and signs up and every day puts his thumb and then get your this thing, you're paid for it. So it's trying to get a bunch of people to fill up a batch of your target and then run it, not even looking at are they really good enough to be a part of this program or not. Taking it further, now from a startup perspective, startups are also a little bit relaxed, whether you're asking for interns or this thing, they're not very serious. Sometimes the job descriptions don't come in at all when people approach us. So if you're not knowing what you really want, how can you expect somebody to find the right person? They dabble around a lot of things, but not very clear, focused on what they really want. Most of them. I'm not trying saying that everybody's like that. And my experience with my own startups and all this stuff, I picked. I'm in Andhra University, but I have my centers of excellence, and most of my interns and employees are not from Andhra University or from Vizag. Most of them are BTP, SRM, Triple IT, DM, Karnool. So these are places. Why that? Because I pick from hackathons. Because I'm pretty much involved, and I observe. This is it's touch and feel, and then picking up people, not based on 15 half an hour of interview or 1 or 2 programs. You really want to pick, be part of hackathons. I don't find a lot of startups being part of the hackathons that are really serious. These are all industrial use cases. I know you don't get great quality students, but we've been able to have a lot of success, especially for our startups, by picking up from these hackathons. I know startups have the habit of complaining. Not much is happening. They expect government to do things for them. Yes, but unfortunately, like an event like this, and startups don't turn up. But you ask them if nothing is happening, they go and easily complain saying that nothing is happening. But when things happen, they don't turn up. So and of course, they also need ready-to-deliver resources, whether it's internships. So they're not training centers. People also have to realize that they're not training centers. You cannot come blank after 2 years of engineering or whatever, or MBA second year and all that, and they come blank and they expect. These are not training centers. They expect to come with some level of skill set, and you're there for a month or two, which is not enough to really train you and then get something out of you. So it is more like a liability. You become a liability if you take it as an intern, but later as a full-time employee, you're expected to come with skills that where you can deliver, because startups do not have a lot of leverage with financial money to train them for 3, 4, 6 months, and after that you're not sure whether the resource is going to stay with you. Startups are ready to pay to the as a stipend to the interns, pay good. We pay these big AP guys who are in the third year coming into the final year, because they're pretty good. They've taken with them 2 years of continuous this thing. They've been delivering stuff. So we give them offers between 1 to 18 lakhs variable depending upon the type of the guy. So we do pay, and now there is a little bit of excitement of even student wanting to join startup. So yes, we always talk of quantity versus quality. So when we say internships, we get thousands and thousands of members of startups, and I've also seen university backbenchers make memes on us saying that we don't pay, not much of stipend is paid, but do you guys know where you stand? That's the problem. We have huge number of people passing out, available, but the reality is are their skill sets good enough to be employable, which is a big question mark. So this is something that I think I'm not going to the solutions part, because post the discussion I'll get into what I feel are the solutions to handle this. Thanks, thank you. Over to you, Diwakar.
Thank you, Ravi. That was clear and crisp, and I hope you all got that. Now, let's welcome Srinivas to lead the conversation from here on. We'll spend about 25 minutes. Those of you watching on YouTube, please post your questions, comments on YouTube. We have a person watching the live feed, and we will bring your questions to the stage. Those participating on the live video chat, please raise your hand, and we will unmute you, or we didn't mute anybody because we don't have a lot of crowd. So please chime in when you feel like it. We'll be limited on time, so please excuse us if we did not get to all the questions that you may have. However, we'll compile these questions and we'll post a summary on our social media, and we'll share it on our WhatsApp group. Srinivas?
It's yours.
So we have a whiteboard here and we are noting things down. So please, those of you who are online, we will post all this stuff on WhatsApp group and our social media.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm going to speak a little louder, even though you can hear me here because of people watching online. There are some of you who are going to be open and are willing to talk and talk a lot. There are others who are going to be shy and do not want to talk, but you have your own point of view. So we decided that we're going to address the introverts also. I'm going to pass around these, one of us is going to pass around these slips of paper. If you have any question that you'd like to actually, yeah, this is it. If you have any question that you would like to ask, or you have a solution, you believe that there is a solution, you can mention that here and pass it back to us, and I'll make a note of it. on don't write any jokes and send them back. So with that, I'll ask Rishi. Yeah, and don't no abuse. Rishi, can you pass me now? Just give them an answer to pass one back. Take one and we'll pass on the same. So the way that I like to do this earlier, under normal circumstances, we would have split everybody into groups. But since we have a smaller crowd, but also we have people participating online, so we're going to keep it as one big group discussion. I just want to be away now. Yeah. Right. So I want to set a little bit of context also in addition to whatever Ravi has mentioned. A couple of things that the problems have already been mentioned, but from a higher level perspective, one of the challenges happens to be unemployment. Okay? Now, when we talk about unemployment, I'd like to take an even higher level point of view. One, I'd like to talk about TIE, WISAC. Actually, TIE is an organization for about 10 seconds. TIE, a non-profit for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, has now signed an agreement with the United Nations to pursue and extend the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs that are there. So at the UN level, TIE is working all across the world. As a part of that, we thought that, well, let's take up one of those SDGs that happens to be education and skill development, because that is the fourth of the 17 SDGs that are there. And it also directly impacts in a lot of ways, as we've seen in some of the southern states, poverty and money, because the southern states on an average do much better than the northern states, primarily because it's been attributed to education. So given that we have that, and there is a lack, we're not dumb, we're not stupid. A lot of people from India go outside of India and do exceptionally well over there. There are a few people in India who do really well. There are others who are unable to do the same thing. How do we, and the gap, the inequality has been rising. How do we reduce that? What do we do? And two of the contributing factors are education and skill development. Keeping that in mind, right? And keeping in mind the problems that Ravi has already mentioned. And one more point that I just went and looked at the statistics, and now I'll have to verify, but it seems like that's what ChatGPT or one of those GPTs has given. Andhra Pradesh's unemployment as of now is higher than the national unemployment. Unemployment in the nation is at 3.1% and Andhra Pradesh is at 5% is what it says. Unemployment by other numbers is much, much higher. And the youth unemployment is at 12% nationally, 12.1 or so, but Andhra Pradesh is 15%. And we also know that a lot of people from Andhra, young people, want to go out of Andhra Pradesh. Now there is one factor that I would like to mention that Ravi did not mention, right? There are people in Visakhapatnam, for example, who, when we tell them that there are jobs available in Vizag, they say, no, I go to Hyderabad. And why do you want to go to Hyderabad? Because I have not seen Hyderabad. I have seen Vizag and I don't want to, I've already seen it, so I'd like to go see another problems that are there, and some of you have some thoughts. Okay, some of you have some thoughts on how to go about it. So the floor is open. It's up to you. What I'd like to do is I'd like you to quickly mention your solution, your name, maybe your affiliation, if in case you did not introduce yourself already. If you did, then not a problem, just get right into it. Give your solution. Everybody has 1 minute. We'll come back to you after other people have spoken. Those who got the slips of paper and don't want to say anything, you can write and send them back down here. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
With that, over to you. Anybody who wants to get? Before I give it to you, Krishna. Comments, we're going to limit the comments to 3. Okay? The first 3 that, whoever 3, not 1 comment per view. I meant that I'm going to give 3 people a chance to put comments, but everybody else needs to, everybody including those people giving comments need to come up with solutions.
So, first of all, I think my comment is around, we defined these problems but we didn't define them well enough. I think if we just keep jumping to solution making, I'm sure everybody has great ideas over here, but a lot of them are not going to stick. We need to take a different approach to doing this. I'm not going to derail this, but maybe a future iteration of this workshop needs to be with a different, more set up format. I'm happy to chat with you guys after this workshop.
Yeah, 3 comments. You finish
No,
one.
can we respond to the comment or later?
We do it, you can respond.
Okay. Thanks. So the idea is, yeah, you're right, this is an initiation. Thankfully, state government, the principal secretary, Sri Saurav Gaurji, is who heads the additional in charge for skill development and higher education. Is started getting involved, and he looked at the topic and got people on board online, saying that they have to also be part of it. So this is an initiation. The idea is to take it at a larger scale, right across, and not limit it, but get more and more experts to come on board. I know we will also get to hear from Vinay and Purushottam as their say. Constraints are a lot. It's not an easy thing. It's not an overnight thing. It's a long-term stuff. I know I'm not getting into solution, but yes, it's a larger problem and it's going to be a scientific thing and with number-driven, qualitative number-driven stuff, but not just subjective stuff. That's going to be my topic.
Yeah. No, that sounds good because like I've been part of these kinds of setups, and usually there are more stakeholder engagements, more structured way of doing this.
Just the start of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that comment.
Oh, I have been remiss in forgetting one very important point. One of the things that the government of Andhra Pradesh, which is very interesting to know, is one of the really interesting things is they're doing a skills survey 2024 to see where people are at in terms of education, skills, abilities, and then try to map all of that so that they can do something which is data driven, including policies that they're going to write up. Just wanted to mention that, I forgot, sorry, so.
I'm into visual communications, that is photography, videography, and all such things. I just wanted to start a vocational training center like. The vocational training, there are some centers where the fees is very less. We want to go into a full-fledged system. There are many people looking out for education, like how to learn Photoshop, Lightroom, we have video editing and all this. We want to start an incubation or start up something like that. Can something be provided for us? Information, details, something like that. Is visual communication in this skill development? I just want to know this. Thank you.
Yeah, Kumar Purushottam, would you like to answer that?
as an opportunity after post education. In fact, the government of India and government of AP rigorously has been working on a solution called skill census. Government of India, if you take the case, they have started NEP, National Education Policy 2020. They technically integrated the skill development in education to the conventional education right now. So we don't need to separately look at the skill development component as such. Well, this is a very vast subject, as rightly one of the audience has rightly mentioned. It's a very big subject. In fact, to cover within a half an hour or 1 hour time, the effort what has been like currently you people are doing it's a tremendous effort. But at the same time, two things as a startup, I would recommend that you people should be in a phase like providing employment is should be your ultimate objective, because government is right now partnering with most of the industries at the same time, large scale, a small medium as well. So where we are missing the point is like we don't have the employers as of now. So there are a lot of people who can provide the vocational education, but there is no chance for these people who are getting trained. In fact, we have to create a bridge for a startup people like you, who can come up with who are working on a solution, integrate your ideas and business with the government of AP, then work ahead for providing the employment and other aspects. So this could be a greater as a proposition for both of government of AP as well as the startup ecosystem. So this will definitely lead into a different dimension. So in fact, creditization of education is also happening. Like skill development, so far it has been like offer some skill trainings, provide placement. This was the objective. Now skill development is officially recognized as a formal conventional education. Credits are being accorded as per the national education policy. So our efforts or thoughts should be in that direction. As the speaker has rightly mentioned, we are also in the process of working on the skill census. So gone are those days where we implement the skill development programs just like that. Now the government is very committed to implement demand-based skilling. Skill census will be the foundation for this entire aspect, where we'll study the supply side scenario as well as the demand side, come up with the requirements of skills, and offer through well structured or qualitative efforts. So these are my points. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you got the answer that you wanted. But my suggestion is talk to Ravi and Devakar after this, and you can continue the conversation from there. Because I believe there is scope for that, and they'd be very happy to talk to you. Right, yeah. So, anybody else? Comments? Solutions, actually, rather than comments.
Hi. Yesterday I attended a workshop on maritime cluster in Andhra Pradesh. The theme is exploration to amalgamate interlinked industries. The first question comes from the complete team. Actually, there is a lack of skill. What I realized, like being a POP and worked as a former CTO, and if I think as an employee, first of all, the learning we need to change a lot. Still, we are following the old traditional way of teaching. I think we have to mix of blend of both state of the art and advanced. So education pattern and credit pattern has to be changed. And the passing examination, that's all automatically part of that. And also the second one is the job description. First, if it comes to the engineering, when joining itself, they need to have a clear clarity of what type of the jobs they are going to get into the respective domains. None of them are aware even when they come to the fourth year also. They doesn't even know the dream companies in the respective the domains. So that awareness has to be provided automatically, that associated with the job description. Automatically then they realize what type of the skills need to be learned during the 3 or 4 years tenure. And to learn that, we need to facilitate certain softwares which is lacking complete in everywhere I want to say. So, and also if requires, it has to be trained along with subject matter expert coming from the industries. So these are the certain things what I realized it on the education side. But when it comes to the startups, I feel maybe like of course, what I believe that if you pay something, you can easily catch their neck. So automatically students will be forced to do it much better, and startups also going to gain. To create that type of ecosystem, if government can facilitate, of course, I'm again throwing back to the government. I think that will be wonderful. It is not given to the startup, but it may be given to the students who got an internship in the startup with certain type of measuring that index also is very important. Otherwise, it can be misused also. Yeah. So.
I'd like to reinforce the stipends for interns in startups, because even in Massachusetts they have a program in life sciences and everything where they're trying to promote graduate students and master's students to like promote take part in startups. So part of that program is they reimburse the stipends which the startups are giving out. So that way, it's not just directly giving the money and doing it, but rather making sure that the actual pay slips are going out from the startups, and that is what they reimburse. So I think I'll also like to point out that, sorry, what was your name, sir? Whatever Professor Giri was kind of talking about, and mostly even my comments which I'll be making, or conversations about what needs to change, is going to be geared towards a particular segment of this higher education we're talking about. In fact, Mr. Ravi also referred to that particular segment. These are students and individuals who are supposed to be highly educated. These are people with technical degrees, STEM technical degrees, coming out from highly ranked institutions in Andhra Pradesh and around, who are supposed to have the skills to do this, but that is, so the skill gap we see for these people is a failure of the system that they're going through, rather than the lack of the whole thing.
I'll stop you there,
Yeah.
because this is not about problems anymore.
Yeah.
So we understand the problems, we have listed. We are looking at any solutions that we can come up with. So any solutions, think about, yeah, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, no, it's no issues, but
Good evening, everyone. So, as already previous people said, there are paths, there are certain things which have already been done by National Skill Development Corporation as NSQF levels, and down in the root level, most of the people don't know the paths. So when it comes to the skill development, or what kind of skill that they need to develop, or what is the path that has been framed, that has been lined up, that has been in line with this national education policy, I think the education institutions on one end, and by default, most of the parents even till today, I don't blame them, or I don't want to comment on that, but the systematic approach, what happened is academic subjects, ranking system, and the way we been growing is like you have to get a job in MNCs. So this was been the traditional path. Now we have to break out all those, because things are changing very fast, and people feel that still nothing is changing, but at the back end there are a lot of things that are changing. So when it comes to startups, they have to give the problems what they were working on to the next level generation, so that they'll be the one who will be utilizing the solutions. And at the same time, NSDC has already given this NSQF levels that they need to understand to what level they are, so that they can map their skills. And least, or what to say, the root level, the education institutions or schools or colleges, whatever it is, they should make sure that the student paths are clear, what they're learning and what they're going to get at the end after learning, or whatever the skill that they develop, which I think most of the places it's missing. Exclusively few startups or few companies might know that, but that has to be given to the root level. I think with the NEP it is possible, but I don't know how it works in the end of next 5 years or something like that.
So what everyone has to understand is like education and skill development should go on a parallel track. So if you look into the abroad curriculum, like they design courses based on the real time working, like how the companies, like what companies they really look for, the softwares, or what technologies they're really looking for. So like that abroad curriculum is based on that. Even in India, we need to have the same kind of curriculum that I really look for. And there's a gap analysis for the students and also the generation difference too. Like there are two prominent factors because if we see the Gen Z, they're able to acquire skills like like looking or finding the opportunities, the online resources that they have. So what I feel is like based on the generation also, skills development courses need to be changed on that. Thank you.
One thing I want to convey, like being a faculty, right now the trend is in 4 years you are almost acquire about 6 years skills. But what we are trying to do, a 2 year skill, we are trying to extend to the 4 year skill. So unless if you are able to refine that, to continue the course structure, and also in lines with the industry requirements, and particularly the softwares, every institute is lagging. My recommendation actually, why don't the government do the bargaining with software companies for a better price and offer them through the government for different institutes? Because as an independent institute, if they're trying to, it can be too expensive. So I would say government has to do a hard bargain with those institutes. It is plausible. Just give an example in Europe, to just make the science directory to be freely available for all the scholars. Antonio, my institute actually told that if you don't give it for free, we're not going to submit the papers to the science directory. So that type of hard bargain is required, I feel, to bring the prices to the software available for every institute.
I'll also point out that not all international universities match for industry. In every country, students complain about how their skills are not transferable. So this is not only an India problem. But the difference that you see is based on exposure. And that is what the students in AU and everywhere else, every tier 3 college where people complain about this, it's lack of exposure. Which means that they're not solving enough complex enough problems that they're doing. Their coursework requires them to, basically they only have exams and midterms. So they'll only study for that. If they have continuous assessments, then they'll work for that. So there are simple ways in which universities abroad actually solve this by actually having continuous assessment. But that is more load on the professors over here. And genuinely speaking, I don't know what the incentives are for professors to do better in their courses.
Thank you. I will, one last comment before we wrap up.
A quick add-on, something I mentioned to Vivek last time. So he was also pondering. So regarding complementing all the skill gaps and skill development and encouragement, speaking and all things happening in the startup. I mentioned that not just me, I'll volunteer to take the first 3 or 4 months kind of thing. Like monthly policy grasping and policy making as a broad team, so that someone who is into medical or industry policy, agriculture policy, once that broad discussion about policy is made, where is the government wanting, which direction it is going, and what are the members' experiences and everything, so that the startups perhaps can orient where they are fitting into the big picture. They are having their specific picture, but what is the big picture is generally perhaps missed. Not saying that. So that if we have another round, another vertical series, like understanding policy and making their own policy making also. So about whichever is the priority concern. So making use of Yojana and such magazines, so that every month we can have something about industry policy or AI policy of the government, broad highlights, and having a discussion with the interested members who may have interest in that specific domain, or who may come just to understand what is the big picture, what is the general vocabulary, linguistics, what are the experience of the members, that kind of thing, only to make members sensitized towards placing understanding and placing their own works in the context of the policy as it is. So if it's just an addition regarding what you mentioned, Divakar is also pondering over this. If it is so, I'll be happy to join you.
You've been wondering over it.
One last point.
Okay.
This point maybe looks odd, but I just want to convey, if you want to bring a change, of course you need to motivate the students. In order to do that, I say that we have to train, even request the faculties also. Because unless that happens, I don't think so we can expect a change. Because it has to start from since first year. I can clearly say that when I'm just pushing my first year, they come back that, okay, you also submit for a grant. So I feel that's the only way they to start. Automatically they will find the way.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and read it out?
Yeah. So one thing is like we are trying to solve the problem by saying that they are not skilled enough, but then that is always going to be a problem, right? Because even if you train them, so I think we need to change our approach from seeking the training to an output based kind of a solution, where we tell them, okay, this is what you should do, and there should be some incentive for them to do that. So for example, there could be open data projects where the data is publicly available. This is digital goods. Companies can sponsor for it if the data is good enough, and that can be driven by the government itself, that if you are collecting this such and such data, it could be any kind of thing. So I think that could be one thing which can be done on university levels, because right now I think that the final year project which students are doing is a garbage kind of a thing. They buy it from somewhere else, right? So to solve that issue, for example, let's just take a very simple example of adding Telugu language support in softwares. Now, if they can just contribute to that kind of online resources, right? So then that becomes an output-based approach. Open source contributions and open data projects is one I think the universities can push from their end, and then other would be creating digital twins. For example, as a gaming company, if I'm running a gaming company and I want to create a gaming engine and for Vizag city, so why don't we create an open data or a 3D model of city or villages and provide that as an open data? So I think we can think of in that line.
Could I add to that? So one of the things I think Alok is on the right direction here. In fact, one of the solutions which I was talking about, needing more exposure, this solves for that. But Alok kind of limited the ideas over here for software. One of the things when Mr. Ravi talked about like getting really good students from SRM and stuff, some of my past colleagues when I was working in aerospace were from SRM. And one of the reasons they were some of the best people in India was because they had a small satellite program straight out of in their undergrad. So they all were trying to launch their small satellite. It was failing miserably, but they had the Mars Rover challenge and all these international challenges where they were competing against international teams. Those kinds of challenges change the entire ecosystem and what students thought was okay to be doing during undergrad, which means that the entire mindset of the entire student population started shifting gradually. And this is what happens in your tier 1 institutions, because they have more exposure, they keep looking at people competing against each other, and that in turn does. So similarly, if we can actually identify like local companies and everything to sponsor things like ASME funds, Formula E challenges, Mars rover challenges, small satellite programs, those are the actual things. Now see, if you are an electronics and communications engineer, right, you will be coming out and there is no way in which you'll be working on like a 5G replica or a small cell tower during your entire program. But we can create challenges where we are forcing people to think about what is 6G, what is 7G. Can you guys think about it? If you have higher tier education which is more solid, you can integrate those programs, but even replicating the old technologies is possible today. So I'm just putting it, more competition, more funding for students to do things, not professors, not universities.
We should have a faculty challenges also, no? Why limited to only students? We need to have a best faculty competition and get them to actually teach. And anyway, thank you so much for all the inputs that you've given. I'm very surprised that some people actually spoke up. Silvani is the one that comes to mind. I'm so glad, actually, not surprised, but glad that you did. Vinay, do you have something to add?
Yeah, actually, I have. Thank you. The problem statement which I am looking into is more or less it's about improving access to education and skill development programs for people living in poverty. So, people living in poverty, I guess, means we are targeting the BPL people, right? So, the discussions what we are making here is more of
more of targeting the sector which is more highly educated. So normally people in the BPL are not that much organized. They fall under unorganized sector. So government, there are a lot of focus. The government is focusing on whether it is central government or state governments on the organized sector people. So what we try to understand here is since the problem statement is slightly different, and we here need to target more on the unorganized people where it can be a street vendor or some trade shop people or all these household people who do daily labor kind of thing. How to upskill these people, how to bring up these people in terms of upgrading their lifestyle by educating them or giving some skills enhancements towards which can improve their day-to-day daily changes in their workforce, thereby upgrading the skills. So in that way, I feel that startups need to focus on more tailor-made programs for each skill wise. For example, everything will not be similar for each unorganized people. So identify the categorizing the unorganized labor force is one aspect. Second thing is tailoring the programs according to that unorganized people, where startups can intervene or think in this lane, so that the upskilling or some enhancements of that particular unorganized sectors in terms of learnings can be upgraded. So I want the startups to think in this way rather than on the other way, where already there is more focus on and which is not in line to the problem statement of today's discussion. That's what I feel.
Great, thank you. Not now because I've just run out. I want to. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Diwakar told me I need to hand over 4 minutes ago. So sorry. Um, Thank you. I'm going to thank you all for participating. We've unexpectedly, even though we've had only normally we get the house full. Today we had half or less than the half, maybe 40% of the house full. But the inputs that we got and the solutions, I'm sorry if I cut off anybody and did not allow you to pass your comments and or anything else, but I needed to focus. We needed to focus on what the solutions are. Just that itself is like a huge list. Just for the record, so that everybody is aware, language support for local languages. Sorry, I keep repeated that with so local language support. Just yesterday, last night, I read that one of the things that the Japanese did 40 years ago was convert everything that is there in English into Japanese, so that in terms of all the technical manuals and knowledge and everything, so that they have been able to then catch up and understand and be where they are now. So I see that great opportunity for us. Vocational training centers that were mentioned, education patterns, awareness about careers and curriculum changes that were discussed earlier, and digital twins and so on and so forth. Thank you very much. We'll actually compile this list and share it in the Startup Saturdays group, just so that you're aware. Diwakar is waiting, so I'll pass it on to him so that he can call Ravi. And thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Srinivas. That was great discussion. Now, Ravi, please respond. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thanks, back. I think it's thanks, Vinay, for getting us to, because we get carried away. It's more engineering than what your people were talking of. There's a lot of other things which is, because we're talking vocational training and a lot of things which is unorganized sector and all that stuff. So it's all started with NEP. I know there's a big resistance to change, that which I need to now think. I think the government will have to listen. It will be a big resistance to change, because today content is available online. EduTech has become this thing. For us, learning, your biggest university today is YouTube. It's no more a university. It's going to become digital. So move towards digital is going to make a change that has to be promoted. Teachers cannot come back and repeat the same old physics, thermodynamics, the same old stuff. So that content will have to move online, and people refer to that. And teachers have to move into mentors, coaches. That if that movement doesn't start, whatever is the big thing that we're trying to do, trying entrepreneurship or even your employability is a big. It's going to be a pipe dream. I think it has to start with the faculty. Somebody was talking about it. Uh, I see a lot of resistance to change because I've been on board of studies, and when you try to introduce something new, they say, who is there to teach this? We don't want. So they teach only what they know. So from that, what they know is already there on the internet. So you don't need to come back and teach that. Whether you go into art, sciences, management, all that stuff is already there. So it's more of application. I would again say, even if it's coming to engineering or management or most of the stuff, if it's hands-on, it will stick and you are more accepted. So Kerala model, 140 plus of makers labs, we do have that, but put them into proper use. I think that's where I know Junaid and all, we are now trying to move everything out of the classroom. It's not more than 50% classroom, more hands-on. Then other things is only if you're preparing for CAT, you think of higher order thinking skills, which is critical thinking, little bit of judgment, little bit of stuff. Nothing is never taught. There's no financial sense. There's no financial knowledge, management, value of money. Nothing is taught. There is ethics to business. I think some and the repeatability of physics and all. Yeah, the repeatability of physics, chemistry, and all that stuff I don't understand. But important stuff don't come when. The industry statements going back to them, hackathons and all that stuff, of course, and that's from the education perspective. So skill development, yes, engage early. Let's not. I think again, Purushottam was talking about it. Not to wait until the guys finish off their maybe their UG undergraduate program and then get them there and then completely undercooked and then start from there rather than start. I know the rote learning thing is a thing. We start very early with great stuff, which is like building blocks that are given, and the whole wall is something for you to do something creative. And over from just from third, fourth standard itself, you are made to by heart and repeat, by heart repeat. So it goes. I don't want to name something, but it's the Narayana Chaitanya's the model. You know that that's creating a lot of problems. But until unless you get out of that, it's going to be difficult. I know it's a larger problem, but that's something that is today. So I can give you with examples today. I know college again, I don't want to mention. If it's computer programming, you're given 7 to 8 programs to by heart in this thing. You in the lab assistant or the faculty, you give them a C program. I'm talking about the 8th, 9th program, they don't know. And forget about the civil, mechanical, it's the same old stuff. You're taught the age-old stuff which is already more or less moving out. This technologies that are never updated, never this thing. If you're talking mechatronics is never a part, you're still doing only IC engines lab and other stuff. So a lot of stuff that has to be done. So makers labs will I think make a big difference, at least in the engineering or even this thing. Even in MBA when I said I teach, but the day one I get them out of the BBS students out on the road. They have to start first observing businesses, coming back and then presenting in class what they observed. A template is given, so they have to fill it up and come. It could be a small, idli shop or something like that. So get them on the floor, not comfortable in the four walls and air conditioning. Interventions right at the school level, skill development stuff, and commitment from this thing. So I know the skill gap analysis and other stuff that is there, and courses that are relevant, which are more because the credits, thanks to the input there from again Purushottam that, which is credits which go largely with hands-on stuff, which is makers labs that get into this thing has to be mandated, but the faculty has to get hands-on. So train the faculty first to think different, to work different. Until that is happening, that's again the point that comes in. Until the faculty change, you will not have a trickle-down effect. I know what Giri is doing. Now he has 3 people sitting there coming from IITs and others, NITs and doing it in there. But why not? And then he says first year students are now ready to submit for ignition grants when somebody ignites that and starts pushing them towards there. So we need more of such people. So that's something that has to come in. Then, finally for this, so of course, again, skill development, since I also hold that, moving from a number-driven to a impact-driven approach, and a very dynamic skill gap assessment and continuously changing those numbers, and then refocusing to what to be achieved. From the start, because that's again there, I think you get involved. You just can't say this is not my problem. Otherwise, it will still remain a problem for you, because you cannot build your big startup all by yourself. You would need a team, and for that, you will have to work. You have to work with the universities. You have to work with incubation centers. You have to work with skill development centers. You have to work with the government. There's no way you can escape and try and be. I am there in an ivory tower, and you give me a resource, I will pick it up. It will not happen. You have to work more. You have to get more involved. Come and judge hackathons. You will find great talent there. These are the first top 5-10% talent coming there and then trying it out. You will find good talent. My own experience, and try also get onto. I know this is something. This is a little bit thing. Instead of having gray-haired people like me who are the old school on the board of studies, I think young guys like who run those startups should get into the board of studies and then start driving those things, and then putting it straight, saying that this is what is required, because I think that's something that should be encouraged. So overall, I think some points that we said, but I know all as the while you can't ask government to do everything for you. You will have to pitch in. You have to take the mantle yourself and do it. But I think there will have to be that collaborating or the overall nodal agency to make it happen, because there are certain things which are policy related. So that I think largely I think it's again starts from the way in which we teach and expect them to study to pass. That has to change, and the faculty, their approach, and all this stuff, which is a difficult thing. And yes, most of the vocational training, like if you're talking the BPL stuff, just carpentries or electricians, and all, there's a huge demand, and we don't find good quality stuff. Everybody of us faces a plumber and all that. First that online, AR, VR, there's tons of opportunities. You can create content. You don't need always a classroom to teach these things. So there's opportunities all there for the startups to even make money off of this whole skill gap stuff. Thanks, and I think move on to the next thing. Over to you, Babar.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you. We usually have open mic and pitches. Today we don't have much time left, but we have 5 minutes left. But I think this was a good discussion. Thank you all for participating. We have this feedback form. Please scan this and provide us feedback on how we can do similar session going forward. Just so you all know how we organize these sessions. I'll come back to that. Sorry. Okay, please scan. Go ahead. Okay, if anybody is ready to share. Yes, okay, hold on. So this is how we organize these sessions. Usually each startup Saturday focuses on it at one of these levels. Today it was a brainstorming session, so it doesn't fit into this theme, but we will incorporate that. We usually focus either on field of practice, sector, company, or entrepreneurial level. So let's extend this session by 5 more minutes and open up for open mic. What is open mic session? If someone feels inspired and wants to share an idea, this is the place to share. This is a safe place. Please come and share your idea for startup, anything that you might want to work on, and you will get some feedback, any help you need, any thoughts you have to share. Of course, we just had about 1.5 hour session of thoughts and solutions. So anything other than what we just discussed would be better. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raghuveer Kulkarni. I'm the managing director for K2 Partnering Solutions, which is a global IT consulting company present in 40+ countries. We are headquartered in London, and we have offices in US west side of the globe and east side of the globe as well. We mainly focus on Salesforce and SAP consulting. I have studied in Visakhapatnam. I've studied at Gayatri Vidyabharati College of Engineering, and then went to US and did my MBA at Central Michigan University. And then I have worked in US for quite some time, and then I'm currently traveling to various countries. So as a Visaghite, I just got connected. I just met Srinivas Garu today. Happy to meet you, sir. And Ravi Garu I know from quite some time. It's always a pleasure to have a leader like you to sort of inspire students.
All these years, we never knew there's a $400 million company operating out of Vizag.
Yes. Yeah. So what happened is our company got acquired by this company. Our company is Open Logics, and it got acquired by K2 Partners. This happened last year. So we are beginning to expand our operations in Vizag. My leadership team asked me to set up offices in Hyderabad and Bangalore, but I pulled the discussion and then wanted to I advised them to set up offices here. We are currently 100 in total. We have 100 employees right now in various departments: HR, development, sales, marketing, and all that, and content management and all that. So, and we have an integration and innovation team as well. So I would love to be in touch with the Thai community here, CII, NASCOM. So I will explain my dream a bit again.
So is this your idea that you want to talk of some startup that you want to some idea?
No. It's for the greater good of Vizag, basically. So the name of the initiative is AP Rise and Shine, right? So as you understand, we have Andhra University, which is probably 90 plus years old, or probably 90 plus years, 98 years old. It has produced many eminent personalities, many scientists, many professors, right? Many amazing people, entrepreneurs, many people, right? And there's Geetam, there's Gayatri, and there are other prominent colleges as well. So if you actually look at Vizag's landscape, there are not many IT companies, right? There are few, but when it comes to IT, somebody has to literally relocate to Hyderabad or Bangalore to join a company and then start his or her career. So I want to collaborate with organizations like yours and work with student committees and alumni organizations as well, alumni associations. I'm the president of Alumni Association at Gayatri Vidyabharati College of Engineering. So I would like to join hands with other colleges and universities as well, because these universities are 20 plus years, 40 plus years, and so some of the notable alumni are should be CEOs or vice presidents or directors. So we should all encourage, come together. Government can do a bit, as Ravi said, but it is the citizens' responsibility to give something back to the society. So that's where. Sure. Yeah, sure.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, sure. So that's the whole idea. I'll come in for the next session as well, but that's the grand picture. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We want you to come every session. Thank you. Anybody else who wants to share any thoughts or ideas? Only startup idea. Okay, only startup idea. Those of you online, either Mr. Vinay or Purushottam, you might want to share something. You have anything that you want to say? We are about to close the session.
No, I don't have any startup ideas, but I would like to thank Ravi Garu for helping us.
I know you're talking.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear? Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
I okay. Okay, I don't have any startup ideas, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ravi Ishwarab Garu, CEO of Ahab, for providing us this online link in short span of time and allowing us to attend this brainstorming session, which was very fruitful and helpful for us in understanding how we can go forward with our skills and this program also. We have noticed and understood what the startups are up to in terms of understanding the education and skill development programs, what they are looking for also. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are on social media. Please scan. You can join us on WhatsApp if that's what you are on. WhatsApp is something that's comfortable for most of us. So we have, like everybody else, we have a WhatsApp group. Please scan and you can join the group. That's where our announcements go. Of course, we also are on social media. There are like 5 links in there. Whatever your favorite social media is, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or LinkedIn, you can scan that. So I have a few announcements before we close. Thai women applications are closed and the program will commence on Monday. We will keep you posted on the progress. Follow us on social media for that. The 6th Launch and Develop Workshop, this is the 6th one out of 8, is coming up on July 30th, 31st. We finished our 5th one during last week of June on financial management and funding. These are 2 days intense hands-on workshops with several experts drawn from our networks of ALCO partners and the Thai WISAC chapter. The next one coming up is on legal and compliance. These workshops are an excellent resource for not just startups at AHA, but students, faculty, and those who are interested to get a deeper understanding of the entrepreneurial journey. Bhavna announced earlier, AU NITI ITBI Ignition Grant application deadline is extended to August 31st. If you have an idea and you need financial assistance to build a prototype, this is an excellent opportunity. And we're looking for innovators and entrepreneurs pursuing their dreams using these resources. Please connect with us for more information. Last weekend was a fantastic event conducted by Codium. It's a student club, Codium Student Club conducted a hackathon with almost 40 teams from across the region. Our offices were filled with people, buzzing with activity, everyone focused on tough problems. Congratulations to Codium Student Club. For those of you who might not know, it is a pre-incubation center set up in the AU Engineering College campus. There's also a student club with the same name associated with that space. Currently, the student club is pursuing many things, among them the hackathon that they did last week. You can follow Codium on their social media. CODEIAM. That's how it's spelled. Our next Hack AP Hackathon is on July 27-28, the last weekend of this month. For those unfamiliar with this one, AHA began a hackathon series we call Hack AP Hackathon more than 2 years ago, and this is the 12th one, right? 11th one. Problem statements are multidisciplinary, and we strongly encourage you to have multidisciplinary teams. This time, the theme is e-commerce and retail. Problem statements are out. Check out on our social media to register. Coming up in half an hour is Been There Done That, a talk show I host at 6 p.m. Today we'll be talking to Mr. Edward Paul, a shipping manager turned historian. It will be a fascinating conversation about history of WISAC. Thank you all for another wonderful session. Let us all gather together for a group picture. Thank you, Mr. Vinay and Mr. Purushottam. Thank you for attending the session. You might want to hang on until we finish the picture, so your digital self will be in the picture.
Sure. Thank you.
Wait, you are on mute here. Are you? Go ahead.
Sure, Andy. Sure. So thank you so much. Yeah, we'll be there.
Thank you.
there can be bigger pictures of them.
Of them, okay. Okay, please come to forward, come to the stage, towards the stage, and we can quickly get a picture done so they can log out. Please come to the stage, let's get the picture done. Yeah, it is on. It's okay.
Vaishali, you're taking too much time. Move it. We can't see you. Okay, smile. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay, and Mr. All that.